Caitlin Clark was selected first overall in the 2024 WNBA draft by the Indiana Fever, but the star guard wasn't able to enjoy the moment as she would have liked. While the WNBA draft is typically a joyous occasion for prospects, it turned out to be quite the opposite for Caitlin Clark, who found her experience less than satisfying. Selected first overall by the Indiana Fever, Clark barely mingled with the crowd before her prompt departure following her stage appearance and handshake with WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert. Speaking on the Fresh Talk podcast, the disheartened star lamented her lack of time to connect with her inner circle after being selected, expressing her disappointment further in missing the remainder of the draft. "I was so upset because after I got drafted, I got just drug out immediately and I didn't get to see any of the draft," she told her former Iowa Hawkeyes teammates Martin, Gabby Marcel, and Jada Gyamfi. Specifically poignant was her absence when Kate Martin, a former teammate, had her moment. Clark, 22, opened up about the bittersweet nature of her draft experience, spotlighting the irony where such an event should have been filled with happiness, yet she was isolated from friends and family due to the event setup. "I didn't even take pictures with you guys, my family, like Connor, McCaffrey, like no one," Clark confided, sharing the extent of her frustration. Despite facing the challenge of being drafted away from her loved ones, Clark didn't allow it to dampen her debut season's shine. She not only stepped up as the #1 overall draft pick but also led the Fever's charge into the playoffs for the first time since 2016. Reports the Mirror US. Moreover, Clark's entry into the WNBA has been described as an economic disruption, according to Basketball Hall of Famer Debbie Antonelli. Speaking on the CL Brown Show, Antonelli, 60, delved into the significance of Clark's effect. "No one's disrupted the economic marketplace and the ecosystem like she has," she expressed. "And that gets everybody paying attention. So, for all of that, that's so important because we needed that disruption just to jumpstart the next level." Antonelli further articulated the extraordinary influence Clark wielded over the fans during her first-hand encounters across the league. Specifically, she highlighted the diverse support for the Fever phenomenon, underscoring how Clark's presence signaled a progressive era in the WNBA. "I can just tell you by what I experienced this summer in the WNBA, watching how many number 22s were walking by, little girls, dads, little boys, college-aged guys. I gotta believe that the game's going to keep evolving on the grassroots level, which I think we were kind of stalled in dropping," Antonelli emphasized. "Now, I think girls and women are playing more basketball because, now, they're seeing more opportunities that can be around the game." While taking a step back from basketball, Clark is channeling her energy into other sports such as golf. She's gearing up to compete in the prestigious Annika Driven by Gainbridge Pro-Am tournament. The new Unrivaled Basketball League is preparing for its debut season, and a few stars could complete the dream lineup. Co-founded by WNBA star Breanna Stewart and four-time All-Star Nafisa Collier, the 3-on-3 league looks set to revolutionize women's basketball. The games will get underway in January, and each of the inaugural 36 players signed to the league have been guaranteed a minimum six-figure salary. It could redefine the WNBA offseason, with many players usually heading abroad to boost their earnings. There are 6 spots still available on the roster, and Stewart and Collier are spoilt for choice, but several players would make ideal signings. The newly crowned Rookie of the Year, Caitlin Clark, enjoyed an unforgettable debut season with the Indiana Fever. Clark emerged as one of the most popular players in the league as she helped lead the Fever into the playoffs and set the single-season assists record. The 22-year-old was adamant that she would use her months off to decompress after the WNBA season, but her stance seems to have softened slightly following rumors of a Lionel Messi-like offer. Asked about the prospect of joining Unrivaled, Clark recently replied, "We'll see. I don't know. Just taking it as it goes, and see if I want to play eventually." As one of the WNBA's biggest names, Clark would be a star attraction for the games in Miami. "We're always going to have a roster spot for Caitlin Clark," Unrivaled president Alex Basil stated. "We're not applying a full-court press the way people think. We are letting her decompress from basketball. She knows that we have a spot for her when she's ready." Fresh from helping the New York Liberty win the first WNBA championship in franchise history, Sabrina Ionescu would be an incredible signing for Unrivaled. The 26-year-old boasted the third best-selling jersey in the league, and Unrivaled's expansion to 36 players could also help her prospects. There has currently been little noise about Ionescu joining the 3v3 league. This could be due to the Liberty star suffering a reported UCL injury during the WNBA Finals. While Ionescu will hope for a speedy recovery, it seems that Unrivaled will be a golden opportunity for every player involved, with the league offering the best average salary in U.S. women's sports. We exceeded our financial projections, which means we get to expand sooner than expected and offer more spots to deserving players in Unrivaled, co-founder Collier explained. Women's sports are in an amazing moment, and we're incredibly grateful for the support that has helped make this possible. Las Vegas Aces center A'ja Wilson would be a notable omission if Unrivaled is unable to convince the three-time WNBA MVP to join. Wilson, 28, has so far ruled out playing in the first Unrivaled season but may be tempted to reverse her stance if Unrivaled's offer proves to be too good to turn down. Interested? I'm not going to completely cut it out, because you never know. But I will not be in Unrivaled this year, Wilson said. I think that kind of squashes a lot of speculation. People kept tagging me. But I love what it's doing for my teammates, and it's creating another avenue for players to play and stay in America. But I will not be doing that. I will be chilling. UConn Huskies women's basketball head coach Gino Orima will go down as one of the greatest basketball coaches to ever grace the game. The 11-time national championship winning coach has surely gotten to this position of unprecedented success by speaking his mind. Whether it be to his players, his coaching staff, or to the media, Orima has never been afraid to speak his truth. However, his truth doesn't always resonate with the women's basketball fanbase. Orima dropped a few takes about how Indiana Fever icon Caitlin Clark would fare during her rookie season during a June 6 episode of the Dan Patrick Show that have aged horribly. But that didn't stop him from speaking his mind on Clark once again during a recent episode of the Make a Difference with Phil Martelli podcast. I think one of the things that makes Caitlin Clark who she is the way she is with people, Orima said. She connects with people, and people connect with her. Now she talks a lot of on the court, he continued of Clark. When people talk about the WNBA, why are these people beating up on Caitlin Clark? Because she talks a lot of the court. That's what makes her good. So she's not like this angel walking out there and everybody else is beating her up. Nah. She has got a lot to say. This would seem to contradict a quote Orima had on the aforementioned Dan Patrick Show, where he said that Clark is getting targeted by her WNBA peers. If you're a WNBA player, you're going to say I'm going to make a statement. Targeted. Targeted by society, targeted by her looks, targeted by her reputation, targeted by the disrespect that her fans have shown to the WNBA. There's a huge target on this kid's back, he said. While perhaps Clark's trash talk is another reason why Orima believes she's targeted, his not mentioning that initially has raised eyebrows from her fan base. Women's basketball now occupies a prominent place in American sports and culture that it has never before occupied. The emergence of incredible talents such as Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Paige Bueckers helped NCAA women's basketball reach an entirely new audience, while Clark and Reese starred as rookies during the recently concluded 2024 WNBA season. But the key to growing women's basketball lies in its sustainability and whether the NCAA and WNBA can continue to captivate fans. A player as exciting as Clark cannot be a a player as dominant as Bueckers has to have competition. Can star supply match the demand for fan entertainment? Legendary UConn Huskies women's basketball coach Gino Orima believes the work is just beginning, even with Clark winning Rookie of the Year honors for the Indiana Fever and Bueckers set to enter the WNBA in 2025. Orima, his fellow head coaches, and the powers that be in basketball have to continue to cultivate these players in order to continue growing the women's game. One Caitlin Clark is going to be enough to take this where it needs to go, it's not. Or one Paige Bueckers, it's not, Orima said on the Make a Difference podcast. What they do is they show you the way, they show you what's possible, and then the people that run the operation have to now capitalize on it. The 2024 WNBA season was historic, setting viewership records for its final series and attendance records to coincide with Clark's entry into the league. A new television rights deal will take effect in 2026, and it is expected to bring a financial windfall to the 27-year-old league that has the bulk of its season take place during the NBA's off-season. And it will surely bring a smile to Orima's face to see players like Juju Watkins, Kiki Iriafen, Flaugy Johnson, and Audi Crooks all set to turn pro in the next 2 or 3 years. Thank you for watching. The younger generation, the high school people have to prepare these kids so that when they get to college, we have something good to work with, and then we send them up to the WNBA and then they have something good to work with, Orima said. Mid the debate about whether or not Caitlin Clark truly deserved all the fame she got more than those who came before her, there was one veteran who stood by her side. Arguably, Candace Parker was among those generational talents that helped set the stage for the Iowa sensation to arrive. But putting aside all discussions of senior players being jealous of the Fever rookie's fame, Parker was a supporter. However, there is one thing that she cannot believe she missed out on before the league catapulted to popularity. On the latest episode of Bloomberg Originals, the former #1 pick and Rookie of the Year spoke on how women's basketball has changed for the better over the years. But Parker still wishes one thing had begun earlier. I'm pissed that they started chartering the year I retired, I'm not gonna lie. Cause our back-to-backs used to be, we would play and then we'd go to sleep and then we'd wake up to take the 6 a.m. flight and then we'd still play the next day. So it makes me a little angry because it would have been nice for your body to kinda catch that charter flight. The former Los Angeles Sparks player announced in April of this year that she would be retiring. The next month, WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert revealed that the league would be providing full-time charter flight service to teams during the season. The project was expected to cost around $25 million per year, and Engelbert planned to commit $50 million/2 years. Although Candace Parker was around as an active player when the Caitlin Clark phenomenon began, she couldn't help but be angry that she missed such a huge opportunity by a smidge. Even Nafisa Collier had spoken about how important chartering would prove for W athletes to maintain their health, the decision finally coming after years of players rallying for more safety. While highlighting how hard the league was when she played, giving examples of not being able to find a gym for whenever she wanted to work out because we didn't have a practice facility, Parker also said, "So more so I'm mad because I'm thinking of how much better I could have been if I had an off season, if I didn't have to go overseas. And I could have put weight on and I could have bulked up in the weight room and focus on what I wanted to improve on." But then the former pro stated, "But I feel like all of us feel a responsibility and a part of the growth that's happening right now." While Clark undoubtedly has taken women's basketball to new heights, Parker's comment points more toward the narrative that says that the reigning Rookie of the Year didn't make the sport famous all by herself. There were others before her who have always been here and deserve some credit for their work. However, Caitlin Clark herself has always accepted that many legendary players have come before her to pave the way. In fact, she did one of the most popular stages of SNL. Then, the undrafted 2X-employee thanked former players for setting up the stage for her and many like her. "Thanks to all the great players like Cheryl Swoops, Lisa Leslie, Cynthia Cooper, the great Dawn Staley, and my basketball hero, Maya Moore. These are the women that kicked down the door so I could walk inside. So I want to thank them tonight for laying the foundation," mentioned Clark one night before her WNBA draft. It was only 3 years ago when college athletes' lives were forever changed by new NCAA rulings in 2021. Their names, images, and likenesses could be used to earn money, a huge change in college sports. Caitlin Clark had deals with a combined estimate of $3.1 million, with brands like Nike and Gatorade. Candace Parker was close to retiring when the new rulings came. The 3X WNBA champ said in the same podcast about how she wants to be happy about where the league is at right now, but man, if I would have had nil in college. You gotta think about what if occasionally. The only W rookie to ever win not only Roddy but also MVP, which she did in 2008, Parker would have been a huge nil hit at the University of Tennessee. Nevertheless, Candace Parker is happy with where the W is right now, thanks to Caitlin Clark, yes, but also all the players that make up the league. "I also look at the doors that are opening now and look at where the sport is. I work with a lot of angry old heads. I don't want to be the angry old head." Caitlin Clark or no Caitlin Clark, Parker will clearly continue to extend her support to the sport she loves. But the presence of a famous rookie certainly helps bring in more eyes and better facilities. Caitlin Clark reflected on a surprisingly emotional moment following her selection as the first overall pick in the 2024 WNBA draft, admitting she was so upset right after hearing the news. In a November 5th appearance on the Fresh Talk podcast, a special reunion with her former Iowa Hawkeyes teammates Kate Martin and Gabby Marshall-Clark, now with the Indiana Fever, shared how the excitement of the draft quickly gave way to frustration. Despite the monumental achievement of being drafted first, Clark found herself immediately pulled from the stage and away from the event, which left her feeling disconnected. "I just got drug out immediately and didn't get to see any of the draft," Clark said. She added that, even though she had her phone with her, she couldn't fully engage with the moment. "It made me so upset. I didn't even get to see Kate get drafted." The moment was supposed to be a celebration, not just of her career milestone but also of her teammates' achievements. Instead, Clark was left feeling disappointed that she couldn't experience the full excitement of the night. Now in her first off-season after a standout rookie season, Clark's debut year in the WNBA was nothing short of remarkable. She was named both the league's and the Associated Press's 2024 Rookie of the Year, averaging 19.2 points, 8.4 assists, the highest in the league, 5.7 rebounds and 1.3 steals per game. Her impact on the court was immediate, making her one of the most exciting players to watch in the league. The million-dollar Caitlin Clark question is what the star WNBA guard will do over the offseason. Will she spend it focusing on perfecting her golf game? Or will she spend 8 weeks in Miami playing for the new unrivaled league founded by Nafisa Collier and Breanna Stewart? Front Office Sports reported a few weeks ago that Unrivaled was preparing to offer Clark a contract exceeding $1 million with other incentives for the three-month league. There still hasn't been an official announcement about whether Clark will play for Unrivaled, but the league has signed a few notable players since then. If Clark plays, she'll join Indiana Fever teammates Aaliyah Boston and Lexi Hull. She'll also reunite with former Iowa teammate Kate Martin. The Aces guard's decision to sign with Unrivaled was enough for fans to think Clark will be in Miami. What could be better than getting paid to play basketball with your best friend again? Will Caitlin Clark join her friends and sign with Unrivaled? On Monday, Clark attended the introductory press conference of new Indiana coach Stephanie White with Boston and Hull. Clark was asked about playing for Unrivaled, to which she said, "We'll see," Clark said. "I don't know. Just taking it as it goes, see if I want to play eventually." White said she supports whatever her players decide to do during the off-season, but she thinks there is some value in playing basketball. She said it gives players a boost entering training camp. Clark and other WNBA rookies didn't have much of an off-season between the end of their collegiate careers and the draft. There was a lot of controversy about the guard not making the Olympic team, but it was a blessing in disguise as it gave Clark time to rest. The first Unrivaled games will start on January 17, meaning Clark will have a couple more months to rest. Maybe she is still deciding whether to play, or perhaps she's already agreed to play, and Unrivaled is waiting to announce it. The league has announced 30 of the 36 players that will participate on its X account, with Boston being the most recent signing. Clark's graphic will do numbers if she signs with Unrivaled. Fans are waiting not so patiently for her decision, which should come sooner rather than later. Regardless of what she decides, Unrivaled will be fun to watch.